I think China will continue to grow slower. If there's a major global economic crisis, when that crisis is over, China will be number one. In all the major countries, interest rates are trending up, and China is trending down. It's trending down because China did not print money during COVID. China collected money. Both makes boring speeches, where information is in the nuance.
Did you talk to your American friends about Huawei, your visit?
You know, when I was asked to be the advisor in Singapore, I hesitated because the Americans were going after them and the Singapore government was wavering. And I did not want to cause inconvenience to myself.
Thanks for the talk. I like your analogy about the drone above the raging river. I'm here tonight because to me you are either that drone or the operator of that drone. And so also for the benefit of our young people behind us, you talked about the rough shape of the world that we can already start seeing. What will that shape be in 5 years' time in your mind? And secondly, if the trajectory of things goes as it's going right now, and surely the US must see it, what you expect the strategy for countering it or reacting to it will be over the next 5 years? Thank you.
I think China will continue to grow slower. If there's a major global economic crisis, when that crisis is over, China will be number one. So you notice after every economic crisis, the Asian financial crisis, the global financial crisis, after each crisis, it moves ahead because it's the least leverage. During COVID, people thought that China had done badly, but in fact, China did the best. It had the fewest deaths, and they accumulated huge surpluses. So if you cast your eyes to the next 5 years, I think China will still be okay. China, Southeast Asia will be more integrated, and there's a good chance that the region will remain stable. The wars will be distant wars for us. Let's not get ourselves needlessly entangled, but do what is right. Don't take liberties with ourselves. Don't do what some countries do, which is work from home. People have become lazy. Take life seriously. If you spend all your time on hobbies, it means you're not doing your work. So I would go back to basics. Strong families, social order. Look at the streets. Are there homeless people? Are there people who are neglected? Public cleanliness. These are all indicators of social morale and group health. So the Japanese, despite doing poorly, I think at the atomic level, they're still very resilient because they maintain a very high level of internal discipline. But many societies in the West are breaking down.
I read an earlier fascinating essay that you wrote comparing the Chinese Communist Party and the Catholic Church. So which institution is more meritocratic in your view?
Both tries to be meritocratic, one in a spiritual sense, the other in an intellectual sense. Both governs through hierarchies, both justifies discipline through moral principles. Both makes boring speeches, where information is in the nuance. In other words, the delta between the speech and an earlier speech. Both had big corruption problems. Both are trying hard to overcome them. Both have succeeded to a point. Both face long-term challenges. Both are fallen. Both are human.
You know China so well. You recently visited China. Do you see lack of confidence among elites could be a problem?
They're all worried. Down. So the mood is not buoyant. Unemployment is a problem in many cities. But China has a lot of fiscal and monetary flexibility because of the surpluses it has accumulated. In all the major countries, interest rates are trending up, and China is trending down. It's trending down because China did not print money during COVID. China collected money.
Now, many people believe the economic globalization we have been very familiar with over the past 4 decades come to an end. So what's the new form start to emerge? Because today it's a live stream. I think a lot of people, even including the business world, business people will listen to your remark. Could you tell us, give us an indication that what will look like and in the next phase of globalization, if we call that that way?
In times like this, practice races ahead of theory. It will take many years before economists and social scientists are able to make sense of what's happening, because events are racing much faster. It's more important at a time like this to be practical and to work on small things rather than work on big projects. Because big projects require stability and on many assumptions being correct. They're not likely to be, not all of them. So it's safer to work on smaller ideas. If you're in an earthquake zone, don't build tall buildings. Build smaller buildings. Build buildings which can flex. And even if some parts collapse, you can link them up, like in the souk, kind of a flexible arrangement. I think into the world we are entering, where there are all kinds of earthquakes, which are hard to predict, it is safer to work on smaller ideas. And as individuals, as families, as businesses, always assume that there'll be earthquakes. And avoid excessive risk. Do small things. Link up. Try. Mm-hmm. Open up possibilities rather than lock yourself into single channels. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That to me is a much better strategy. Because no one knows. Does he know what China will be in 20 years' time? Well, he has some sense, but it depends on where China is moving organically. Does Biden know or Trump know what the US will be in 20 years' time? They do not know. We do not know. History moves according to its own logic, and technology, wave after wave, are crashing onto our shores, changing things in ways that we could never have anticipated. I mean, we talk about AI. Of course, there's a lot of hype. But AI will be everywhere. When I visited Huawei last month, it's a very impressive organization. I'm an advisor to Huawei in Singapore. I'm not being able to visit them during COVID, but decided I had to, and I spent 3 days there. And from cloud everywhere, their new slogan is intelligence everywhere. In other words, everything that you do in a classroom, in an office, in a motor car, build intelligence. And allow for the fact that things will change. You'll never get the future right. So work on small modules and move in the general direction.
Did you talk to your American friends about Huawei, your visit?
When I was asked to be the advisor in Singapore, I hesitated because the Americans were going after them and the Singapore government was wavering. And I did not want to cause inconvenience to myself. But seeing the way they were bullied, I said, no, I will be the advisor. I didn't like it. Because I felt it was unfair and unjust.
Okay.
And having met them, they're very spirited people. And under pressure, they responded. I did not know that every year, every of the 200,000 employees of Huawei have to do a test on transparency and security. They offer a network to companies, to individuals. So they owe it to the company and the individual that they must be secure in this network.
Yeah.
And the only way to be secure is you must know how the network networks you and how your data is used. So they have an entire floor where companies which join the network understand the entire system, the software codes. And every year they have to they have to take a test that they understand the principles. So I thought, I never read about this in the media. They paint Huawei as some evil organization wanting to spy on everybody. My belief is this. The Five Eyes have an amazing surveillance network. And we thank Edward Snowden for telling us about it, for which he has paid with his life. Now he has to live in the Soviet Union, in Russia. They were able to get into everyone's pocket, into everyone's computer. Every click that you make on the computer, they're able to retrieve if they want to. This gives them enormous power. And suddenly, if Huawei come along, oh, I can't search this pocket. I can't open this door. I can't access this drawer. So they wanted to kill Huawei. And the result is the Western countries have shaped policies driven by intelligence considerations. The result is they have hobbled themselves. They're denying themselves bandwidth. The average Chinese today has much more bandwidth than the average American or European because of the policy of Huawei. So yes, the intelligence people will have an easier time. But everybody else pays the price. And it's not good for them.